Day 36. Um, so I have class tomorrow. I'm gonna go to Walmart today to pick up some pants, some shirts that I don't mind getting paint on. I drew a couple of my cards today. My girlfriend wants to maybe start working on a kid's book uh, that I'll be doing the drawings for. And that sounds fun. So that might happen. Uh, okay, so I want to talk about depression. And I was thinking about it. Obviously, I like explaining things. That's why I talk so much. But I like to understand things. That's really why I explain things, because when I explain it, I usually explaining it to you usually helps me figure it out for myself. So when I come up with like a thought and I think, that's an interesting thought, I would like to share that with somebody, because sharing it with them will help me refine the thought and turn it into an actual like idea. I don't know why. I think it's comforting to explain why things are the way they are, even though it doesn't really help. It's kind of like the whole naming your dragon thing. It doesn't really help, but it doesn't. It also kind of it can help if you use it. It's just maybe it can help you understand somebody else's problem at the very least. And what I'm going to try to explain now is kind of my version of depression. When I say this is what depression is, I don't mean when you hear somebody says they're depressed, I'm probably not talking about them, because everyone's different and everyone is in a different hole, essentially. I have a slight addiction to painkillers. It's embarrassing, and that's like the closest thing I have to a secret. I don't like to tell people that. I don't like people to know about that, but it is true. Uh, a while ago, I had to get my first tooth pulled out, and they prescribed hydrocodone, Norco. I enjoyed it. I liked the feeling of it because it made me kind of numb. I wasn't completely like cloudy, or I don't know. I was kind of clear. I was a little messed up, but I was still pretty conscious. It just, it kind of did the same thing that these videos are doing. Like, I was in kind of a dark place, but whenever I was on those pills, I didn't feel like I cared as much. I just, it felt like I didn't care as much, and it was just a nice breather. It's embarrassing, but like I found out about that, and I took them, and yeah, okay, so you took some pills. That doesn't mean you were an addict, but the thing was, I felt like I needed them, and I ended up taking more than I should have. Like, the dosage was like one every 4 hours, and 4 to 6 hours, and I don't remember the numbers. I don't remember specifics, but I was taking a lot more than I was supposed to. Um, like, at the very least, I was taking like two per dose instead. I was taking like every time I was supposed to take one, I would take two. So I was essentially just taking twice as much as I needed to, sometimes more than that. It was like you're supposed to take it, and then after that 4 hours is up, when that 4 hours is coming up, you can kind of feel the pain coming back into your mouth, so it's time to grab another one. Or maybe it takes 5 hours for it to get out of your system, so you should take it at 4 hours so you're never in the pain, so the pain doesn't come back. You don't want to wait till the pain starts to come back, because then you have to wait for the pill to start kicking in, and there's a moment where you just have to be in pain. And so to me, it became like this psychosomatic type of deal where after like a half hour, my brain was just telling me that I was in pain, so I would have an excuse to be like, well, I mean, I like the way that pill feels, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just take another one right now, because I think, two would help more, right? And so I ended up, and I suffered for it, because I would end up running out early and then not have any, and then I haven't healed all the way, so I'm in pain. There, it got worse, because later I found out that my mom she had back problems, but she hates the way that Norco makes her feel. So the prescription that she had it for like months and then didn't take any. So she's supposed to take them, and she just chooses not to. So she has like a week before she can refill it, but she still has a full bottle essentially. And this was years ago, and knowing that it was there and I had access to it, I wouldn't abuse it all the time. Like I wouldn't abuse it initially. It was, I think one time my back actually went out. I think that might have been one of the times, but something happened and I was in a disproportionate amount of pain. And I told my mom, I was like, "Hey, can I get some ibuprofen or something? I'm hurting." And she was like, "Oh, here's this," and she gave me that. And she didn't know that I had done that with the my own prescription. So she just was like, "Well, hey, Swayne's in pain. I have painkillers. Problem solved." I took them, and then I found out that where she had them, and then I would just take them whenever I could. And there's been problems with that, and recently the problems kind of came back. I've been fighting it because uh, my teeth have started hurting again, and it's not as bad. It's more in control, but it's also because I have help this time. And like when Tina was up here, I my mom would supply me with stuff. She would give Tina a handful, and Tina would give me one every 4 hours. So I was taking it when I should, and I didn't have the option of taking too much, and that was good. This is one of my least favorite parts about me. Uh, so only reason I'm saying this is because yeah, I've never been an alcoholic. I've never gotten into hard drugs, but I have felt addiction and I know what it is like. Maybe I maybe a true addict would be insulted by me saying that because like, well, you don't know the struggle. But I mean, I maybe I don't, but I've gotten a taste of it. I I won't say that I've suffered from it, but I'll say that I'm aware of that feeling. So, I've been thinking about it and knowing kind of what it feels like to be addicted to those and wanting them and kind of feeling like I need them when I really don't. I started finding parallels between it and the depression that I'm going through. And I kind of think it's similar to the whole when you put a name on your dragon, when you put a name to your problem, it makes you have an excuse and it's easier to not solve any problems because you can just say you can't solve it. And in the same way, when you declare yourself depressed, in a way, you might look for excuses to be depressed. Maybe to validate yourself more, maybe to prove to others that it's true. Like, hey, look at that. See, I did that bad thing. So now you have to believe that I'm actually depressed. And it's not, it's kind of messed up. But I think there's something there. I think at least my depression is kind of like an addiction. And there are people that say that you can cure that, but I believe other people when they say that like alcoholism is something that stays with you for the rest of your life and you just have to live with it. You can fight it and you can be strong, but it's not like you'll ever be cured. You'll always have the urge. You'll always want to drink, but you are strong enough to resist that indefinitely. And I feel like the whole being depressed thing is kind of similar. Like I might find something that makes me kind of happy, and it makes me feel like, hey, this is nice. I feel lighter, and then sooner or later, it comes back sometimes. And these videos are kind of nice, but I've gotten used to them, and I've kind of gotten to the point where they aren't doing so much anymore. But it's not really something to worry about because I do have classes starting, and I'm pretty sure that's going to help fight it off. I just think that I need to accept that I don't know that I'm ever going to stop being depressed. But I do think that I can bury it with positive thoughts and positive actions that will make it be, you just shrink it. So it's something that I am, it's, if I have to carry it on my back for the rest of my life, I think there's things I can do to make it a lot lighter and easier to carry. Another thing is that a lot of people think that how can you be depressed if you're always smiling? Because for some reason, if you haven't felt it, if you haven't felt this kind of feeling, people who aren't depressed associate being depressed with being sad. If you're sad, you're depressed, or vice versa. And at least in my case, it's not the same. They're different feelings. It's like wanting to drink and being an alcoholic. Those aren't the same thing. Just because you want to have a beer from time to time doesn't mean you have that core need where your body is kind of telling you you need to feel this way. Would you say that because you're kind of excited about that party later this week, that, oh, dude, Saturday I'm going to get so fucking drunk, would you say that you're an alcoholic because you're excited for that? If not, then why would you say somebody that is smiling, why would you say they're not depressed because they're happy from time to time? Like, just because they're not always frowning doesn't mean they're not always depressed. Because when you're sad, that's an emotion. When you're depressed, that's a problem. That's an issue that needs to be handled. You can be sad. There was times when I was first saying it, I would tell people, like, it's okay. I'm in a good place right now. I am depressed, but I am not sad. Because on a day-to-day, I was pretty happy. But there's every day, like every time, pretty much every day, there's a moment in that day where I just feel bad. And I don't necessarily know that even is depression. That just might be the human condition. I feel everyone has those moments. Being yourself, you kind of label your own problems with something to add weight to it, maybe so it's more sincere. Like, oh, well, I call it depression, so my problem's more serious than your problem because you don't call it depression. But I also kind of am aware that that's kind of bogus. Like, that's just because I call it depression doesn't mean it's more painful than whatever you're dealing with. So maybe I'm not depressed. Maybe I'm just human. I don't know. Just an interesting observation I made. I might talk about this a little bit on the welcome video. I think I'm gonna start after I'm done recording this. I'm gonna cut and then I'm gonna start rolling again so I can make my welcome to the channel page throughout the days. So it's not like one long video. It's not like one long. I'll have shot it over a couple of days instead of all at once. Because I just think visually that might be interesting. And like my buddy David mentioned a joke that I could say in my welcome video, and I do think it's a funny joke, but I don't think I'm gonna do it because the way I am in this video right now is the most legit, is the most real I feel, and that's the impression I need to give in that video. If I make a joke, if the video is a joke, that's what you'll expect, and that's not what you'll get. So I think my welcome to my channel video is going to be very candid and maybe a little uncomfortable, because if you're not the type of person, basically I'm gonna warn. It's going to be a disclaimer. It's going to be a warning. Hey, if you don't like this welcome video, you're not going to like any of my other videos because they're like this. Because I'm not doing this so people watch me. Yeah, I'm not gonna read from that. I have to work today, and then I have to go to Walmart and I have to get gas, and I have to do a fair amount of shit aside from editing this, so I'm just gonna end it. These videos are still doing something, and I am excited for class, but if you have somebody in your life that says they're depressed and it kind of annoys you, that's your problem. Someone being upset annoying you, it's not their job to make you not upset about that. That's your job. You need to be there for them or get the fuck out of the way. Don't punish somebody for being an unhappy person. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.